This episode of Grand Rising was brought to you by Autonomous Assembly, where the real work gets done. Autonomous Assembly is a gathering of the minds that do the work. Now, for many of our first-time subscribers and first-time visitors, you may be wondering who Autonomous Assembly are. You can find this information about our mission statement and our core values on the website at autonomousassembly.com/about. We are a nonprofit organization dedicated to raising up indigenous American voices by using genealogy, also known as family history, or your family tree, which is the study of families and the tracing of their lineages and history. Genealogists use oral interviews, historical records, genetic analysis, and other records to obtain information about a family and to demonstrate kinship and pedigrees of its members. Our core values are the foundation of our company, which is essential to our success and serve as a lens through which we evaluate every business decision. Those core values are, but are not limited to, integrity, which is knowing and doing what is right; respect, which is treating others the way you want to be treated; responsibility, which is embracing opportunities to contribute; and servant leadership, which is serving the common good. Now, at Autonomous Assembly, we have a couple of goals here. And our first goal and foremost of the reason why we do everything that we do is to ensure that we help you do your genealogy and connect back to your tribe and find out where you are from. Everything that we do from the standpoint of the Grand Rising show and all the information that's posted on the website is dedicated to that one specific purpose, helping you find your genealogy, find your relatives, find your family so that you will know exactly who you are. And if you choose to, tie back into your tribe, whether that tribe is a Native American tribe, an American Indian tribe, whether it's allowing you to determine which house in Africa that you belong to, or what clan of Scandinavia or Europe or France that you belong to. Either way, our goal is to do just that, help you find out who you are so you know exactly where to start. We're not here to tell you who you are. We're not here to tell you who you are not. We're just here to help you discover your beginnings. Another one of our missions is to help you become financially independent so that you can help your generation for the 7 generations and be able to put a stable foundation for you and your relatives. And if you choose to use this information that we provide free of charge to help not only yourself, but community and your tribe, then we will do everything in our power to make sure that gets done as well. And remember, our goal is to make sure that we help you expose to this information to put you in the best situation possible. So now what I'm going to do now is return it back over to the panel to see if there was anything I missed, and I will go ahead and set up so we can get ready and dig into this information. Take it away.
Let's get it out.
Grand Rising, one Grand Rising. How's everyone doing this wonderful Friday Rising?
Grand Rising.
Peace.
Just put a napkin on it.
Peace, y'all.
Shout out to TMH that started his vacation today. Hope you enjoy yourself. Well deserved.
TMH. Shout out to TMH.
What you don't like work?
And yeah, I seen the comments out there. The last of the episodes, they'll be up there. Give me probably about like 30 minutes after the show goes from going live. And I have everything posted up that's not up there.
Oh, that sounds like stay tuned.
It's still up on Twitch though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got replays up on Twitch as well if you don't want to wait. I think they go up as soon as the live is over.
And will be from New Year's Eve to the 1st. They'll all be on demand.
You know, I still don't know what Twitch is.
It's when you get a little, motion real quick. Your eye or your pinky sometimes can twitch.
It's my business.
It's also an application.
Wow. Thank you, double cousin. I say app so much that I forgot it came from application.
On that note, hope all the relatives are doing well.
Gotta get back to using words.
Uh-oh. So you said you was handling the shout-outs this Rising?
Oh, yeah, I did. Okay. Shout-out time. Shout out to Big Nelsa, Bones, Celestial Love, Nature's Void, Pamela Hall, Phoenix Rose, Tiny 04044. Double cousin, no sellout. That boy wig, Pamela Hall, and David Corey, Doodoo Vision, Macadon 1. Shout out to Mayan Sun 0911, Michael Harris Brown Cheek. There's anyone I forgot? Oh, Copper Indio. Who else? Carrie Bay. Who else? I forget anyone?
Not that I know of. That's everyone that's here this Rising. Oh, by the way, Nature's Voice said, you and No Sellout get ready. He on his way to pick y'all up.
Come on now. I didn't even do anything. I didn't even do nothing.
But no, this Rising decided to bring something a little different. We've been spending the last couple of shows going through the HUD, where it came from, how it got started, a couple of different programs. So this Rising decided to bring you a walkthrough directly from HUD, dealing with how to set up your own multifamily home, basically dealing with Section 8 and HUD. So hopefully there's some relatives out there that was interested and was asking questions. Hopefully this will answer your questions and lead you in the right direction. And moving forward, we're going to try to bring as many as possible seminars and walkthroughs directly from HUD. So a lot of the questions that's in the communities on how to get certain things started, basically you can get your answers. Anything from you, Gabrielle, No Sellout, before we get started with it?
So maybe it's just on my end, but I don't hear anything on the show. Wait, am I on mute? Hold on.
No, I see the voice thing moving.
Okay, then it's probably just me. My bad.
If everyone can hear us out there, can you place some ones in the chat if everyone can hear us? Yeah, say it's coming through.
Okay, maybe it's me.
No problem. All right, we're going to get ready to start this the show this rising, and hopefully again there's information that people can take after the webinar and take back to their communities and get to work with it. Here we go.
2 more minutes for people to join, and then we'll get started. Should we get started, Elizabeth?
Yeah, I think we have everyone on.
Okay. Okay, well, hi. Again, this is Carissa Janis. I'm at HUD. I'm in the headquarters office in Washington, D.C. I'm the staff person responsible for managing and growing the Family Self-Sufficiency Program in the Office of Multifamily Housing at HUD. Thank you all for joining us on this webinar. The webinar is to provide information on the technical assistance that we have available now to owners and management agents of multifamily assisted housing to help them launch a family self-sufficiency program. Joining me and who actually will be doing a good part of the presentation today are our technical assistance providers. We have Jeff Lubell, who's from Apt Associates, and Chelsea Panucci, who is from Compass Working Capital, and they will tell a little bit more about themselves and their companies. And they'll explain how the technical assistance, what it is and how it's provided and how it would assist you. And we are hoping to leave lots of time for questions. And we will just in a moment instruct you on how to submit questions. I do want to mention that HUD has had a family self-sufficiency program that has served public housing residents and individuals who hold housing choice vouchers for more than 25 years. Again, the Office of Multifamily Housing is separate from public housing. So even though that program has been operating for many, many years in public housing, it is really brand new for multifamily assisted housing. And again, most of our assisted housing is projects that have project-based Section 8. So while we welcome participation and interest from public housing authorities on behalf of their public housing units and their housing choice voucher holders, this technical assistance is specifically for, as I said, owners and management agents of privately owned assisted housing, because it's just so new. It's so new to us, and the Family Self-Sufficiency Program is new, and technical assistance is new, and that's why we thought it would be helpful to have this webinar. Okay, so we'll just discuss a couple logistical things on how to submit questions, and then we will continue.
Thank you, Carissa. This is Elizabeth Giardino from Apt Associates, and just a few housekeeping items. This webinar will be recorded and posted on HUD Exchange. And during the webinar, please submit any written questions that you have in the WebEx itself using the Q&A box. You can find the Q&A box at the top right hand of your WebEx screen. You may need to click the down arrow to open up this feature, and then our presenters will respond to questions in the second half of this session. You may also email questions to the HUD Multifamily FSS inbox at mf_fss@hud.gov.
All right, thank you. So Jeff, can you start us off, please?
Yeah, sure. Elizabeth and Carissa, can you hear me okay?
Could be better.
Good. Oh, it could be better? Well, that's it. Sorry. I'll try to talk louder, but that's about as good as I think I'll be able to do. So I'm really excited to be here today. My name is Jeff LaBelle. I'm the Director of Housing and Community Initiatives at Apt Associates, and we, along with Compass Working Capital, are the technical assistance providers here. First, let me just tell you a little bit of the Family Self-Sufficiency Program. So this is really one of the jewels in the HUD program inventory. This is, I think, a really exciting program that can help families to increase their earnings and build savings and ultimately make progress towards financial security. We'll talk a little bit more about, kind of the mechanics, but basically, it's a program that families enroll in and set their own goals, and then they work with a coach over time to help them achieve their goals. And they get, as part of that, an escrow account that grows as their earnings grow. And so this is an opportunity for them to build savings that they can then use to, achieve their financial objectives, such as buying a home or starting a business or saving for an education or buying a car. But it's also something that they can use, hopefully, to be better tenants and to pay their rent on time, and so helping you avoid late rental payments and eviction actions. So ultimately, this is, I think, a really good opportunity both for the families who participate, but also for owners. So if you're interested in increasing the economic mobility and the financial stability of your residents, this is really, I think, a unique opportunity to do that and have kind of a framework and a structure that HUD has established that you can administer, that includes funding for the escrow accounts, built into the Section 8 contract. So exciting opportunity, and we're here to help you make this real. Can you go to the next slide, please? So we said before that Apt and Compass are your technical assistance providers. So just a little bit about how this works. We have a cooperative agreement. Apt has a cooperative agreement from HUD, and we got this by participating in a competition. So Apt is a socially motivated research and consulting firm specializing in a whole series of different social programs, including project-based and tenant-based rental assistance and economic self-sufficiency programs like the Family Self-Sufficiency Program. And so the way this works is that HUD tasks us with specific projects, and we enter into an agreement with them to do these projects, and we have these work plans that set out the projects. And one of these work plans calls for us to work directly with staff at HUD-assisted multifamily housing developments to prepare for and launch an FSS program. We have engaged to help us with this work a nonprofit organization called Compass Working Capital. Many of you are probably familiar with Compass. They are one of the, I would describe them as one of the leaders in the field of FSS in the multifamily world, and they'll tell you a little bit more about their work, but they've already helped to implement and provide technical assistance for other project-based Section 8 FSS programs that have been in operation now in several other places. So I think it's a good team. And the main thing you should know is that our client ultimately is HUD, and they will determine essentially the scope of the services we provide, but they have engaged us to work directly with you and to help a select number of organizations to start their FSS programs. So next slide, please. I'm going to give you a brief overview. Can you do the next slide, please? A brief overview of kind of what that TA support will include, and then Chelsea from Compass will kind of drill down. But just a sense of the kind of support that will be provided to the selected organization. You'll have opportunities to learn from your peers, and it'll be done virtually, so you won't necessarily need to travel to get that. You can get that online. You'll have direct one-on-one assistance with helping you to navigate some of the processes of setting up a program. There is an online training that Compass has developed that you'll have access to as part of this. And then there'll be an on-site site visit to help you with the program launch as you get closer to that period of time. So among other topics, we'll be helping you identify sources of funding to run the program, understanding how you can structure the program in different ways to achieve the objectives, helping you think about how to identify and align all the key stakeholders, because ultimately this is not a program that you will administer only on your own. You really do need to refer clients to other service providers in the community, and it's really important to have strong partnerships. You also, in order to start the program, you need to have an action plan that HUD approves, and so we'll be providing you with guidance on how to write and implement an implementable HUD compliant action plan. There's a whole series of policies and programs and procedures that you'll need to develop, and we'll help you think about that. And in particular, we'll be helping you think about how do you set up and maintain the escrow accounts. So these are the accounts that families' earnings grow who are participating in the program, and they can have access to them when they graduate from the program, but also on an interim basis based on rules that you develop. It's really a pretty comprehensive set of assistance. I should stress that there's no requirement that you go through this technical assistance in order to start an FSS program. If you are all set and you're ready and you want to get going and you don't want to wait for us, by all means, go ahead and get started. But if you're looking for help and you've been saying, wow, this is an interesting opportunity, but I really need some help getting it started, then I think you should think about applying for the opportunity to receive this technical assistance. And as part of this, you'll get assistance designing data collection processes so you can complete the HUD performance report and really planning and managing your launch program. So that's kind of a high-level overview. I'm going to turn now to Carissa to talk about the funding options for this program.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. That was very helpful. So usually people are asking, can you show me the money? At this time, Congress has not appropriated grant funds for multifamily housing to provide to owners and management agents. Grant funds, at least in the public housing program, are used primarily to pay the salary of a FSS program coordinator. We are hoping to get grant funds in the next couple of years, but right now there are none. And this is one of the reasons that we are starting on this technical assistance effort, because we realize that some people may need a little bit more help, and certainly possibly finding where they can find additional funds to help support the role of the program coordinator. A small amount of our project-based Section 8 properties have residual receipts that can be used to fund the program coordinator. Residual receipts are basically excess rental subsidy that the owner agent receives at the beginning of each month, but doesn't end up needing to cover their operating costs for that month. So if there are some that are remaining, they accumulate, and HUD allows owners to use those residual receipts for a variety of purposes, including funding a FSS program coordinator. But unfortunately, that doesn't there aren't a lot of properties that have that. So besides that, otherwise, certainly any other funding that you all may have from any other sources. I do believe that, again, there will be some guidance in terms of looking for third-party funding, looking at philanthropies, and really there are ways, there are ways to figure this all out. Maybe you have existing staff that can be used. So I think, if there are funding questions, you're not quite sure, where exactly the funding, what it's needed for, how much do you need, do you actually need it? Those are questions that can be answered by our technical assistance providers, and they can assist people in looking for additional funding. Okay, so I'm going to go to the next slide.
Carissa, before you do that really quickly, can you just comment on the funding for the escrow account? Do they have to pay for that too?
Oh, okay. Right. So no, so the owners, housing owners, do not contribute any money to the escrow accounts. The escrow accounts are just the incremental amount of money that the residents would otherwise have to pay in rent if, as a result of their participation in the FSS program, they've increased their earned income. But HUD continues to provide the same subsidy amount for those units. So the owner will continue to receive the same subsidy amount regardless of the family's participation in the program. So they won't see any reduction in funding as a result of administering escrow accounts.
Thanks. Yeah, no, I think that's a great feature, that there is essentially an incentive for families to increase their earnings that HUD is paying for. The price of that is that the local agencies need to figure out how to fund the services that go along with it.
Right. Okay, so on to the next slide. I understand from talking to our very accomplished and experienced technical assistance providers that there are some things that would be good to think about to determine if your company or your organization and your properties would be a good fit for the FSS program. And one consideration is, do you have staff that will be supportive, that might be, that we hope be enthusiastic, that would include, importantly, on-site staff who wouldn't have a lot of additional responsibilities, but we may just want them to be supportive and help residents. They would certainly do the income recertifications that are needed. I do have accounting staff that would be amenable to figuring out escrow accounts. Do you have somebody who in a managerial position might be willing to oversee the program, whether it's provided through your organization or company, or whether you contract out to a third-party provider. So just generally, just the management company have staff that would be enthusiastic. Those are on the ground at the site. Will they be willing to work with you and again and motivate residents to join? And the other thing is just thinking about your property itself. Think about the extent that the residents in your properties, and do you think people would be interested in participating in the program? Do you have a property where you think a lot more people would be interested than in some other property for who knows what reason? We found that certainly where operations are going well at a property and residents are about as happy as a resident could be, and you know, your staff have good relationships with the residents. All of those things would be important. So would your residents be interested? Do you have good relationships with your residents? You know, just all, you know, that sort of thing would make a property maybe a little bit provide a better basis, provide possibly a better basis for our success. So I'm not saying you must have these things. We're just saying these are the kind of characteristics that have helped people succeed in the past. And the other thing is just knowledge of other community service providers and relationships that you may have with other community service providers. And it's not essential. That's why the technical assistance is here to help you reach out to those service providers. But any involvement that you have in your local community certainly would help you get started. So, you know, just keep those things in mind. Some of these things are listed also in the request for interest application. And just one more time again, these are not requirements, just things to think about to determine if you think your program would succeed. Okay, so we're going to just tell you a little bit more about what the technical assistance is going to include. And then we will, as I say, go to questions. So Chelsea will provide you with a lot of additional helpful information.
Thanks, Carissa. Hi, everybody. Before we get started, I'll actually just tell you a little bit about Compass, and then I'll dive into what we're going to cover in technical assistance. So Compass is, as Jeff mentioned, a nonprofit financial services organization. We provide financial coaching and savings programs that support families with low incomes to build assets and become more financially secure. So specifically, the work we do with FSS, in 2010, we developed and launched a new asset building and financial capability model to expand the scope and impact of FSS. Currently, we operate FSS programs with a variety of public housing authorities and multifamily housing owners in the Northeast. And we've also provided training, as Jeff mentioned, to other organizations on our program model. And also today, Compass has launched more multifamily FSS programs than any other single organization in the country. So we're excited to share all of what we've learned with you and just look forward to supporting the growth of new FSS programs with this opportunity. So I'm going to talk just a little bit about what technical assistance will entail. As you can see on this slide, we're making available 9 months of technical assistance to up to 10 owners and agents interested in launching new FSS programs. The TA that APT and Compass will provide will be pretty multifaceted. We'll be hosting a series of webinars on topics that we believe are core to FSS program launch. So that will be from designing your program scope of services and writing your action plan to developing a marketing strategy, and then, you know, guidance on what you should actually cover in appointments when you start meeting with families. These webinars will then be followed by individual technical assistance where Compass and APT will meet with your staff to make sure you have what you need to actually progress forward. Compass also has an online launch course that we'll make available to all owners in this cohort. And the training modules in this course are really a complement to the webinars and will give you the actual tools to make the progress that we've described. So, for example, we have templates that will help that you can use to develop your FSS program manual. We have example postcards and letters and flyers that you can use to adapt to do outreach to your families. And then a bunch of other resources that will help you actually go through the implementation process. And all of these tools have been tried and tested by our own staff and our local programs. The last piece, as Jeff mentioned, for owners in the cohort, Compass and APT will be making in-person visits to your team to ensure that you have everything that you need, the expertise and the tools to actually launch your program when the time comes. So these visits will be pretty customized to the individual owner's needs, but will likely cover topics like team workflows, enrollment processes, and even down to sort of, you know, like how do you actually explain the FSS contract of participation to a resident. So we'll have, you know, our staff there so you can actually do that live and get some hands-on practice. Next. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about the request for interest and the actual TA application as well. The RFI, as Elizabeth mentioned, is available on the HUD Exchange website at the link below. The site also has a lot of other helpful resources and information about what you can expect when taking on the responsibility of an FSS program, so I also encourage you to explore those. The actual application can be found at the end of the RFI, and we'll ask you some basic questions about your organization and the property or properties that you've selected for this opportunity. We're also asking you to tell us a bit about what steps, if any, that you've taken to date to launch an FSS program. So this application should take no more than 20 minutes, and you can submit the completed application to the email address on this slide, which of course is also at the end of the RFI. So I want to talk a little bit about selection criteria, which you may have already seen if you reviewed the RFI. To be eligible for this technical assistance, owners and agents must first and foremost own or manage properties that are designated for families and subsidized through project-based Section 8 assistance. So this is really important because residents that receive a project-based rental assistance at your property are the ones who are eligible for your specific FSS program. So their other subsidy types are actually not eligible for the FSS program that you start. So we want to make sure you select properties where that's the case. Second, you must be able to identify properties where FSS can be implemented successfully. As Carissa shared, and then also in the RFI, we provided you with some guidance on where we've seen FSS programs be most successful and the qualities in the properties where that tends to be the case. And then finally, we want you to express a commitment to participate actively in technical assistance. So taking on an FSS program is a responsibility, and I think first and foremost that's because you're now accountable to families who are depending on you to deliver a good program. And so it wouldn't be fair if you're cutting corners or thinking about FSS as an afterthought or a side project. So we really want you to show that commitment in your application. So since we think we will probably receive more applications than we can accept that meet this criteria, we've also identified some selection preferences. So first, we'll be looking at the size of the property you selected for technical assistance. We found that larger properties are often better resourced and better equipped to absorb the initial administrative cost to launch the FSS program in a portfolio. And frankly, launching at a site where there are more residents who are eligible, of course, it increases in the enrollment potential. At Campus, we see programs reach 30 and 40% of eligible families enrolled. But it also just gives your staff involved in FSS more opportunities to learn and keep their skills sharp to better serve families. Second, we'll also be looking at whether or not you've taken any preliminary steps to develop a program at the principal property that you've designated. So I think two important examples of types of steps that are listed here are whether or not you started to explore or secured funding for your program, or you've identified the staff that will deliver services to your families. I just want to mention one piece about these preferences before we move to the next slide. Not meeting either of these will certainly not disqualify applications, but they are factors that we want to consider if many applications meet all of the criteria. If you have a site where you've already taken steps to launch FSS or thought about how you would staff or fund the program, but it doesn't have 100 eligible units, I think we would probably still recommend identifying that site if you feel that it's really strong in your application. From my perspective, I think my colleagues would agree, you and your team all stand to benefit a great deal more from the technical assistance we provide if you've already laid some of that groundwork. So before we move to questions, I just want to share a little bit about the application process and timeline. So as you know, the RFI opened last week and it closes on October 8th. We'll be reviewing all of the applications after this deadline and may contact you for a phone interview between the middle of October and the middle of November. This call would be a chance for you to ask more questions about the opportunity and for us to learn more about your team, the property you've chosen, and your readiness. And then selected applicants will be notified by the middle of November. We're planning to begin TA in early December. I can sense that folks might be cringing at the idea of starting a new project at the beginning of December. So I just want to mention that I think the December technical assistance will likely be pretty introductory and just lay a lot of the groundwork for the work that we want to start doing in January when we hit ground running. So we know that it can be hard to schedule around the holidays, and we just want to make sure that we've sort of gotten everyone sort of introduced to the technical assistance and some of the initial work that we'll do, so we can really get going full steam ahead in January. And then technical assistance will wrap up in August. So I think we are ready for questions, but before we do, we also have Juliana Stewart, who's the Vice President of Community Impact at the Preservation of Affordable Housing, joining us on the call today. Compass and POA have been working together for about 4 years, launching and developing FSS programs across POA's portfolio. So through this process, Juliana and her team have developed just a great deal of expertise about what it takes to operate high-quality FSS programs from the owner-agent side of the house. And it's also through the work that Compass has done with POA that we have really learned a great deal about what it takes to launch multifamily programs well. So I just want to, Juliana, I think will be available for questions during the Q&A, but I just want to turn it over to her now. Juliana, maybe you could just speak for a couple of minutes about POA's FSS work and why it's a priority organization and how it's impacted property operations and life for residents.
Sorry, let me unmute Juliana. One moment.
While she's doing that, again, please set questions online, and if you would like to email them, please email them to mf_FSS, and we will be making note of everybody's questions and posting. We have an FAQ on our page for cohort applicants, and we will be adding questions to that.
Hi, this is Juliana. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Great. So thanks, Chelsea. You know, from POA's perspective, FSS has been one of the best kept secrets, I think, in multifamily housing and asset building. And so POA is really excited to see this resource coming out to get more owners involved. And we've been working with Compass to do outreach to other owners for the past couple years, and I will gladly share my contact information if any owners want to reach out to me to learn more about what that experience is like as the owner-operator. And so just a little bit about us. POA is a nonprofit owner and operator of about 11,000 apartment homes, and we also do our own property management. So as you're thinking about putting together an FSS action plan, I can kind of speak to the perspective of an owner and manager. And in addition, we run resident services that we call community impact, and that's an important part of our mission and an increasingly important part of our mission. So when we launched our FSS programs just over 3 years ago with Compass, I don't think we fully understood just how powerful the program was. We knew that it was a great way to help residents save, but I think we've learned a lot about how pairing this program with financial coaching, like what Compass offers, can really accelerate families' progress toward their goals. So that was really a key learning. That was really exciting. And I think we've started to see a lot of evidence of how the FSS program can support property operations and kind of our core business as a property management company. So FSS is a really great way to incentivize residents to pay their rent on time or communicate a change with their property manager or ask questions if they don't understand something. And FSS coordinators and financial coaches are really great kind of allies and coaches and support for residents in that way. So we hear great things from our property managers. I think it's really exciting for them to be able to welcome a new family to a POA community. It's this great resource that can not only help you be successful here, but help you prepare for what's next. So those have just been some other really positive consequences of doing the FSS program. We also learned a lot about how, what it takes to implement. So just to get a sense of scale, we have 10 different properties that currently have FSS programs in operation. We have a few more in the works. And we do offer financial coaching along with the FSS coordination through Compass Working Capital, through other asset building partners, and in some cases through our own staff. And so as we've grown, we've developed different tools largely in collaboration with Compass. So a lot of the learning that we've had, I think they're also able to share with other owners. So, but for anyone who's interested in learning more about kind of what it takes, inside your organization to really have all the pieces to put this together. Like I said, I'm always happy to talk in more detail and happy either through the presenters or at a later date share my contact information.
Great. Thank you, Juliana. That was really helpful. And we're so happy to hear things. And I know that you're expanding as we speak, so it's great. All right, so we will take questions in just a moment. I wanted to clarify one thing about the Family Self-Sufficiency Program for those people who may not be experts. The housing owner agent, when administering a program, is responsible for, of course, managing the escrow account, which we discussed a bit, which is the savings that the residents accrue. And they're responsible for providing case management and coaching. And case management and coaching would include referrals to community-based services like, vocational opportunities, child care, variety of things, transportation, referring people to, different educational institutions. So the idea is that HUD, whether we're giving a grant or not giving a grant, as in this case, we wouldn't be providing the actual services. We would be referring residents to services available in the community. But the basic work that's part of the FSS is, again, the case management and coaching. And that would be done by a Family Self-Sufficiency Program coordinator. And I think maybe it was mentioned, management companies could hire a program manager. They could assign one of their current existing staff to be a program manager, or you could contract with a third-party provider, such as Compass Working Capital. So I have no email questions yet. So Elizabeth, if you have some.
Yes, we have received a few questions from participants. And as a reminder, you can submit questions in the chat box or in the Q&A box. You can find that at the top right corner of your WebEx screen. So the first question is, who from the organization would be required to be involved in the peer learning sessions or technical assistance?
Chelsea, can you answer that?
Yeah, this is Chelsea. I can take that question. That's a great one. And as you perhaps you asked that question because you can sense that there are actually a lot of folks involved. So, there are a few different groups that are pretty important to the FSS program. So, of course, there's the program delivery team, whoever's delivering services to your families. The FSS coordinator, maybe you have a program manager, resident services team, or a separate organization. Those folks, if you are really ready to dig in on an actual, actually launching your program, are going to be really important for us to train on actually how to deliver a program. It's also really important to, of course, get your property management and accounting staff involved. So those folks are going to be responsible for escrow account administration, and we'll work closely with the program delivery team to make sure that information is accurate and gets communicated correctly to families enrolled. And depending on how your organization is structured, it's a little bit hard for us to say you need the director of this or the vice president of that involved, but we really, really recommend at the beginning of the work that you're doing for FSS, laying the groundwork and aligning stakeholders, to be pulling in more senior staff. So if you have a vice president of property management or a director of accounting, having those folks in the room for these initial conversations where you're actually building buy-in and goodwill for the program is just really, really critical. And then once kind of like the systems and buy-in is in place, the work really transitions day to day to more junior staff who are delivering services and maybe actually processing vouchers for the properties, site accountants and program managers, those types of folks. But those are the three main groups that are involved in the program.
Thank you. And here's a related follow-up question. How much time and resources does an FSS program require of an owner's accounting department?
That's a great question. Also, I can share a little bit about what we've actually already shared in the outreach materials, and then Juliana would love your perspective about this too, because I think that you had one perspective sort of when you were just launching, when you just had FSS at a few sites, and then it's kind of evolved over time as you've grown. So I think in the outreach that we shared with you, the RFI, we estimate that it's about 10 to 20 hours of training for your accounting team in order to get their systems set up and ready to go for FSS. And then depending on the property size, it's about 1 to 3 hours of work per month. Maybe Juliana, if you want to add anything to that, would love to have your contribution.
Yeah, I'd absolutely affirm that. I think for the purpose of getting engaged in this cohort, if you're an owner that wants to pilot an FSS program and participate in this effort and learn about what it would look like, and haven't necessarily committed to multiple FSS sites or a bigger vision, I think for the sake of this pilot, having a stakeholder in your accounting department who is willing to be involved in learning about the program and helping identify where in your accounting department operations this could fit. It does not need to be a new role. I think the hours that Chelsea quoted are accurate, and I think there's some time up front to kind of, again, learn about where the FSS program would fit, but it does not require the addition of new staff if you're interested in participating in this pilot. That would be I feel pretty comfortable saying that. I think it can really be absorbed in an existing accounting workflow for a multifamily owner. And I think there's also some tools becoming available in the property management software that are most commonly used by owners. So we use Yardi, and we have a module that allows us to track the FSS program in Yardi. And my understanding is that there are going to be some changes made available to improve that, which we think will reduce the administrative burden that will be available to other owners. I don't have a timeline, but I think that's good news for the FSS program, good news for owners who are interested in getting involved, but not quite sure what it will require of your accounting team. So I would just recommend that, someone from your accounting team be brought in early on discussing the project, but that I don't think that it requires adding additional staff to make a pilot program like this work.
Okay, thank you, Juliana and Chelsea. Here's another question. Can we group sites together for an FSS program?
All right, this is Carissa. Yes and no. At this point, we require each separate property to submit an action plan on its own, addressing the specifics of that property and the residents that live there and the staff that work there. However, I know it would be a helpful thing would be few projects could join together and say maybe all contribute towards the salary of a program manager, a program coordinator, the person who would be providing the case management, and the coaching, and that individual would provide those services to residents at that group of properties. So in that regard, it makes sense to do it. And so I think that it's sort of somewhat of a bureaucratic thing that HUD could work with you to do.
I think what you've described is exactly right, and that's actually, it's something that Compass and POA are working on in Chicago. So POA has 3 sites, 3 properties separate that are pretty close by to each other that are actually served by the same resource center. And so the staff at this resource center, a couple different folks are actually the coaches for the FSS program for all 3 of those properties. And again, as you mentioned, we submitted separate action plans and also accounting for each, the escrow accounts at each property are done.
Right.
Okay. Will HUD fund the FSS coordinator position at a multifamily property akin to a resident services coordinator position?
Okay, so this is Carissa. So as I said earlier, there currently are no grant funds available to fund a family self-sufficiency program in multifamily assisted housing. We hope that grant funds will be available in the next couple of years, but right now they are not. So the only HUD, quote-unquote HUD funds that might be available are these residual receipts, which I mentioned earlier, are basically excess rental subsidy funds that an owner may have accrued over time. But besides that, otherwise funding for the program coordinator position would have to come from some other non-HUD source.
One participant writes, I work at a housing agency. Can you provide training on a regional level to property management companies?
So that's not part of our technical assistance effort at this time. However, HUD staff could be available to have a conference call with you or to do some virtual training like that. Again, if anybody has any further questions after this is over, and the individual who asked that question, if you want to send an email, again to mf_fss@hud.gov, we will see what we can do and work with you to do that.
And that contact information is also on the current slide. You can go to the HUD Exchange site listed on this slide to email that address Carissa just described. We're still taking questions. We have one question. Based on your experience, where or what does a robust FSS program include or look like?
This is Chelsea. That's a great question. I'll share just a couple thoughts, and then Juliana, I'd also actually love your perspective too. Jeff, obviously you know FSS well too, so I'm curious if you have thoughts. So Compass has, of course, we have a clear perspective on one of the core aspects that we think makes a high-performing FSS program, and that's financial coaching. And you know, we are a financial coaching organization. We've also developed a really strong muscle around FSS, and then probably an even stronger one around how to pair the two together well. But I think from our perspective, the financial capabilities piece and the financial coaching is a big part of why we think our FSS programs well. That is not a requirement for you to join this cohort. You do not have to launch an FSS program that has financial coaching at the center. Although if you do end up in the cohort and you want to talk about it, we would love to talk to you about that. But I think that's one piece for sure. Two other pieces that I think are related. One is just, I think, buy-in and excitement from your staff. Like having a property manager at the property where you're launching FSS who's really excited to get residents involved, having ambassadors in your you know, your resident services coordinators and your assistant property managers and your custodial staff, like everyone at the property should be talking about FSS and excited about the program and know about it and getting people enrolled. And then I think connected to that is another value, like explicitly stated value that Compass has as an organization, is just a belief in families to achieve their goals, dreams. And it sounds simple, but I think we have found and we know that families who live in subsidized housing are often stigmatized and have systems that are stacked against them and have to jump through hoops to participate in programs like this. And so we put that front and center in the work that we do with families. We'll put it front and center in the technical assistance we'll provide to you all in the cohort. But it's really just believing in families and their ability to achieve the goals that they set for themselves.
Yeah, I would just add, you know, Chelsea mentioned the financial coaching is one particular model and a very interesting and strong model. You know, there are other agencies that really focus more on the workforce side and really drill down on how to help people with employment training and with internships and various other aspects that are associated with getting increasing, you know, families' earnings. I mean, ultimately, that's a key goal, including for the financial coaching side. It's just there are sort of different emphases, and you know, one of the things we'll do is help you think through kind of what is ultimately the best approach for any particular agency in light of the values that you hold, the goals of the program, and the resources that are available in the community.
This is Juliana. I would affirm everything that both Jeff and Chelsea said, and especially having staff who are excited about the program or, you know, enough, at least intrigued enough to be engaged. And I think Compass has included some of their materials, but related to that, the FSS programs are strongest when they are based out of properties that have relatively stable operations. So the property is going through a rehab or some sort of other kind of operational disruption, that might not be the best fit for an FSS program right now. But that's just one of learning that might be helpful as you're thinking about putting together an action plan. And also we have a this is financial coaching model. So I think about a bus FSS program. I think there's a ton of value in coaching, period, and financial coaching in particular. So if your organization works with any, either has staff that follow a coaching model that has that belief in families and is client-centered, or works with an organization that does coaching, whether it's financial or employment or other, we're big believers in that, and we've seen a ton of impact. And I would also say I think that HUD allows owners a lot of latitude to get creative with how they implement the program. And so when thinking about a robust FSS program, something that comes to mind for us is the way that we have designed the opportunity for participants to draw down from their account to contribute towards their goals. And there's a couple of kind of mechanical things that you can do in FSS that help families kind of accelerate progress towards goals. So I'm sure that this is something that the cohort could help owners think about. But that's just in thinking about what would make an FSS program robust. I think really just taking advantage of all the latitude that HUD allows to get creative and kind of think about really helping families make progress towards the goals that they're setting.
Thank you. Another question, can a scattered site be counted as one property if they all fall under the same number? Can you conduct outreach to area businesses to help sponsor or pay for?
So I'm not quite sure if you is meant technical to the technical assistance folks. So we'll say it does, and we will provide guidance on ways to develop relationships with local service providers, local businesses. any group or entity might be able to support you in your mission to provide a robust FSS program. That is very important, and of course the manner in which people do that will also depend on where they are and the types of places government agents, nonprofits, businesses are in their community. We definitely do encourage owners and agents to do that, to try to get as much community support as possible.
What is the time commitment to participate in the technical assistance? For instance, how many hours per week or per month?
Chelsea, I can take a stab at that. So this, again, I think it's a little bit tough to answer because, as I mentioned, launching an FSS program involves a lot of different people. And so I don't think it would be incredibly helpful to share like the total number of hours, but I think just to give you a little bit better sense, we'll have a series of webinars over the 9 months that'll be 1 hour to 2 hours apiece. So there'll be a handful of those. The Compass course to actually go through it is maybe 4 to 5 hours total. And then I think like the bulk of the work that you'll be doing is really in giving legs to your program. So outside of the time that we're spending with you, actually drafting your action plan and creating your outreach materials and thinking about what your intake appointment checklist should look like, those types of things. And that sort of, depending on where you are in program launch, will determine who on your team is involved. So I think in the very beginning of TA, when you're trying to set up your systems and aligning stakeholders, you'll have your leadership involved a little bit more, and then it'll sort of get handed off more to this on-site staff at the property and program delivery, services delivery team, who are actually going to get trained on how to operate the program day to day. So that will kind of move as we go through the TA, but I hope that's helpful in clarifying a little bit.
Okay, maybe we might have time for one more question.
I think we have time for one more question. Based on the size of the property, is there a minimum resident participation requirement, such as 20%?
For the multifamily housing program, there is not at this time. At a point where we have grant funds, we may at that time designate a minimum, but now there is none, since the funding would come from a non-HUD source in multifamily housing. So on that happy note, I'll close. Again, this is Carissa Janis at headquarters. You've heard about what a fabulous program FSS is. We're so excited that so many of you have tuned in, called in to this webcast, and are interested. The interest is, before anything else, one's interest is really the most valuable. So again, thank you. Thank you if you're exploring the idea. Please, thank you for spending the time. And should you have more questions, again, please email that mailbox, mf_fss@hud.gov. We'll be able to answer more questions. I mentioned we do have a technical assistance FAQ of sorts on our HUD Exchange webpage. And we will add additional questions to that as we get them. And so we hope that that's been helpful. I'm sure that there are still many questions that people have, but again, follow up with us if you need to. Again, the submission date is October 8th. We are unsure as to how many applications we will get, and so we will try to accommodate as many people as possible. If we have a very large amount of interest, we may hold people's applications for a future technical assistance effort or try to provide some other type of assistance. And I should mention that those that join the cohort, they will be contributing to an effort to allow us to see how to best educate and assist owners and agents in developing and implementing an FSS program. So it's a helpful thing. We will, both HUD and our technical assistance providers and our participating owners and agents will all be contributing to an effort to forwarding the FSS program to multifamily housing properties. Does anybody have any other final things they'd like to say?
No, just thanks for listening, and we hope you apply.
All right, thank you very much, everybody.
That is a very good video and audio to give not only exact examples, but understandings how, even though HUD offers services, HUD in general, you know, as far as like covering all states, depending on giving a better understanding on what may be available or may not be available in your area and how to maneuver and work with and work around and establish things that may not be available. So you can wind up being the first, which, of course, from listening to, from watching the video and listening to the speakers, it's a lot of work put into it, but definitely worth it. In addition to understanding how the programs work, how they work with each other, and, you know, how to establish everything, making sure that you understand what you're going for, whether it's grants or, you know, whatever funding is available. I definitely think it gave a better insights on the inner workings of establishing and working with HUD and the programs available. This is me.
You got any thoughts on it, no sellout? Well, you're probably still busy. But yeah, okay.
I heard the huh.
No, just asking if you had any thoughts on it, any input on what we just viewed and watched.
Oh, that was literally me that did that.
Oh. No, well, basically, I agree. It shows, again, a lot of the programs that we talk about, it shows that they actually exist, that they actually work, and that people are taking advantage of them and using them. That this program here is designed to help families become self-sufficient by allowing them to be able to buy property and rent it out through HUD to generate an income. And not just blindly, they walk you through to how to set it up as an organization, escrow accounts and all. So, I mean,
I'll say this. This video, and thank you, Bones. Thank you for sharing this video and putting it out there. This video really gives an insight to there is no limit to the ideas and thoughts that I wonder if we could do this, or I wonder if I can do this, or I wonder if this is possible. This video, this audio gives a better insight to there is no limit to what your ideas and thoughts can actually produce and be supported through these programs. Because it's not even just creating an income for yourself, but it's also creating an income and an assisted stability and independence for the resident.
Yep.
So it's literally one hand washing the other. Everyone benefits. There's no for me, I don't hear, okay, this is a come up. This isn't a come up. This is helping. I help you, you help me, we help each other. Like it's like a constant, I can't even think of the word, but it's constant help, if that
community.
Makes sense. Yes.
It's community in a sense.
Right.
Because by you, that's why I would say, imagine what happens when we start using this for our communities. And who know the needs of our community better than the people in the community? So not only are you helping yourself become self-sufficient, the people in your community that you provide housing for, you're helping them become self-sufficient. I mean, so in the long run, it does produce a better community for the long run. Look at the things that we invest time in now, because you have to pay bills to try to keep a roof over your head and food over the table. Imagine if you can put yourself in a situation to where you're not stressing about that. So business ventures, ideas, dreams and concepts, you can really start investing time in it. I mean, to me, I look at it as a chance to change the cycle that we've been on for too long. It's like we spend our lives working just like our parents, then our children get paid. They have to hop right into it. Mm-hmm. Instead of them being able to be children, and us as parents put ourselves in a situation to invest in their dreams and desires. I mean, this is an opportunity. And again, this is just one program.
You know, and I might be stretching and I could be wrong. And if I'm wrong, just let me know. But I'm also thinking on more like a psychological level. Listening to that video, watching that video reminded me of when you're younger and you break something and your mom and dad, your parents are like, wait till you get your own. When you get something from someone else, you don't take care of it. But when it's yours, you've invested in it, whether it's financial, time, whatever. When you invest in something, you take more pride in it. So your mentality changes. The responsibility, your responsibility on things change. So it's to me, watching that video, it was like, okay, on a more psychological level, the more the community is independent and has, you know what I mean? You're going to want to not just correct yourself, but assist with, I guess, so to speak, correcting others, but not in a bad way, in a more, this is ours. This is our community. This is what we used to do. If that makes sense.
Yeah, correct. Take care of each other. Because if we take care of each other, it doesn't allow outside entities to come in and deem they have to do it for you.
Right.
And I say, again, this is a chance for us to be able to do for sales. And make no mistake about it, everybody gets some form of help on the road to self-sufficiency. Millionaires and billionaires don't become that by themselves. And again, that's why I say, now imagine, not even imagine, just see what happens when we use it towards our communities.
Yep.
It's just incredible to me that a lot of this information has been public info. And again, people that we have elected leaders that's supposed to have our best interests never inform you on this.
Yeah.
That I heard the lady said some people, because of where they come from and income standards, some people will put hurdles in their way.
Yeah.
But the program is there to be designed to eliminate the hurdles. I mean, how much better can it be in a situation to where if you want to learn about it, they're going to teach you about it. They're going to walk you through it. They're going to help you put together your organization. They're going to make sure that you put it together so it's in regulations to be able to receive the funding through the FSS. Like I said, I don't know what to say. I mean, but really, it's just time for us to start doing.
Yeah, absolutely. This this is like hearing people who are like, hey, I've got this program, or hey, I've got this organization, hey, I've got this nonprofit. I've got these things put together. This is what HUD offers here. This is what, HUD in this area doesn't offer this here. But if you have this program, we can go ahead and get this set up so that HUD not only, and even with them talking about, what funding they don't have, but they do have, grants and stuff in place to receive the funding going forward.
From other entities.
Right. So in my mind, it's even if that funding isn't there now, it's nothing to, or let me not say nothing. What would it harm or hurt anyone or anything to go ahead and establish a program or establish a nonprofit or an organization that is in place, so when the funding is available, you know what I mean? You have something in place to go ahead and go forward to assist in the community, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, and that's what I mean by being active.
Right.
For so long, we have been a reactive people. And what I mean by that is we sit back, we wait, they push our buttons, we get emotional. My question is why we just don't push all that out the window. Instead of waiting for somebody to push our buttons, no, let's activate and do what we got to do. Because history shows ain't nobody coming to do it for you. And history shows most of the people that's in the seat that should be telling you ain't gonna tell you. I mean, what is there to lose? I hate to say it that way, but really.
Yeah, I mean,
have done and been everything else in history and in this country, from entertainment to the bottom of the barrel, to the athletes, to the music. I mean, everything, every role, every character we have been. I'm saying again, what happens when we decide enough is enough? We ain't finna do all this emotional stuff. We finna tighten up and take care of our communities, take care of ourselves, take care of our children, take care of our elderly. I mean, we can't be asking for respect from everyone else if we don't even have respect for each other and each other's families and each other's children. Respect has to start with the self first. And make no mistake about it. This does not mean that other people did not have their hands in our past and affecting our future. No. All I'm saying is let's take responsibility for what we can control. We control our present. We control our future. We control our choices.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just take advantage of it and do it. What was is was. It's behind us. And let's grab these opportunities and let's move forward. I mean, this is our moment. Everybody talking about that moment to shine. Relatives, this is our moment. And think about it. It's just like what Macadon once said, generational wealth. See, rich is one thing. There was an analogy that somebody told me a long time ago. When Shaq was playing basketball, he had $100 million check. That's rich. But that man that wrote that $100 million check, that's wealthy. Wealth passes down through generation. Rich can be here today, gone tomorrow. Wealth passes on and on and on. And like I said again, imagine us designing and building our communities and our households to the point our children can really be children. They can really explore the things that fascinate them, whether it's science, medicine, without having to worry about becoming an adult and have to get out here because it's bills, 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 bills. We can make a change way beyond just talking about it, by letting our actions speak louder than words. And it doesn't take all of us. It takes those of us who are willing to step forward. We build it. Relatives, all we have to do is build it. And our people that hear the call, that's ready, they're gonna come. But we have to build it. We have to build this place for them to come to. We're not trying to lead them to the middle of nowhere, no. How many times you hear people talk about building a nation? But how you gonna build a nation if you can't even clean up your community?
Right.
Your street, your own household. I mean, we gotta start locally, where we at, where we affect the most change. And by doing that, relatives, we will all link up on that road. Because this road to self-sufficiency, this road that we take through genealogy, it's taking us the same place. That's why we're here today, because we know there's something wrong. And we're gonna keep banging out information for every program we know that can fix our situations. And all we ever ask here is, when you get this information, pass it on. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. And after you tell them, sit down, start drafting up plans, start getting together with like-minded family members, co-workers, neighbors. When they had these community meetings, we understand, yes, we all have families and lives, so let's start setting together little small groups in our neighborhood to where whoever is available, they're the representative for that neighborhood. So we stop missing out on this information. Let's take it among ourselves to start communicating back and forth amongst each other on the needs of our communities. Let's start reaching out to fellow brothers and sisters in our communities and see what programs that we can link up to get started today. Because remember, again, it only takes one. Because once we do it once, there's a blueprint and we recreate it over and over to all our communities, and all the American Indians are self-sufficient who choose to be. We can do this. We will do it. It's already written. We just have to follow through the actions, relatives. Let's finish the work that was started from our generation prior. They fought for this act. A lot of them died for this act. So now let's take their works and build what they gave their lives for. Let's finish putting our communities back together. Let's really take the time out to start getting to know each other. Let's start taking the time out to get to know our neighbors, our local political leaders. It's time for us to start using our voices, because they do matter. And it doesn't matter because nobody else say so. It matters because we choose to use it. I don't know, Gabrielle. It's like for every program we keep finding, I just keep getting that pumped up feeling like, oh yeah.
And you know what? I agree. I get this. I know I got stuff on in my life, you know, but it's one of those, and this is for me. I can only speak for me, but every video, every link that has been presented on Autonomous Assembly it's like like an affirmation of every idea and every thought that I have. I wonder if I can do this. Wait a minute. Bones just posted a video. Wait a minute. TMH is putting in a link. Wait a minute. I was just thinking about this a couple of weeks ago. Or I had this idea, you know, like a year ago. Like, it's just reaffirming like all this stuff is possible. And at the end of the day, for me, I only speak for me on this, but for me, I'm realizing or taking an understanding and knowing that because now I know all these things are possible, all I have to do is just put in the time and the effort, which I get. It will be time consuming. It will take effort. It will take, you know, me constantly, you know, putting in, you know, doing what I got to do to make this happen, talking with whoever I got to talk to and understand what I need to know for these programs to implement them properly and correctly. But it's all possible. I'm not hearing any no's. I'm hearing, hey, it may take a little longer depending on the area. Like, I know my area, it's going to take some time. Because I do know that I'm in a town. It's a town that emulates a city and calls itself a city, but ultimately it is a town. And so I know that my area probably, and compared to other areas, this is like, I'll probably be the first, which I know will be a lot of work, which is fine. But it's all possible. That's that when you're younger, you know, the sky's the limit. And as we get older, we either tell each other or tell ourselves, nah, the sky's not the limit. Just shoot for the treetops and you'll be good. But the sky is still the limit.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we can obtain these things. We can better our communities. It's the thing. I remember when I was younger, how my neighborhood looked. And I remember the year that my neighborhood looked like the depiction that was off of, I think it was Boys in the Hood. And I was just like, dang, I don't want to be here anymore. But I remember that time before that happened, like, you knew everyone on that street. And even if the adults didn't talk to you, they knew who you were. Like everybody was, nobody was throwing trash everywhere. No one was, people were taking care of each other. People were gathering together, neighbors would get together, meet other neighbors, we can reestablish that. And that's just how I'm thinking. It's like one of those things, I've said it so many times, like I miss the 90s. I miss the 80s. I miss how the neighborhoods used to be. I miss how, instead of someone saying, oh, don't talk to me that way, but coming together, like we all got a common goal. So, okay, what are we doing? We're coming with our different ideas, our different opinions, our different thoughts, but we're coming together to put it all together as a community. This is just me.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I agree with you 100%. I mean, there's a program in here to do everything we can think of for ourselves.
Yeah.
Those who want to farm, they can have farms through USDA grants. Then you have people naturally that are truckers. Okay, now you can pull USDA funding for them to move the produce back and forth. And those who want to be store owners turn around and get USD funding from farm to the stores and farm to tables. I mean, that's what I mean. It's everything you can think of. There's grants for people that's into electricity, for setting up electric grids for new areas, or built in new city and town areas.
Oh,
running fresh water. I mean, everything you can think of.
Let me add this. I looked to see if it was picking up in other areas, because it's definitely pick up in this area. HUD has a program to where if you want to line your roof with solar panels, they actually have a program that you can be a part of to get your house fully wired and set up to go on to run off of solar panels.
Yep, they have grants for it, energy efficient grants.
Right, to where like you don't either you have one or two options. You can do it to where you don't sell the extra. You can the first one is where you can sell the extra energy or electricity or whatnot back to the light company, or you don't, and you just you're severed, like there's no what is the wiring and everything that's to the house for the through the electric company. You can actually eliminate that and just be on your own as far as this dealing with the solar panels. But they have two different options for that. So even that's a way to receive income, because the extra having the solar panels, if you don't utilize all that energy, then you can sell it back to the light company, if that makes sense. That's still an income.
Mm-hmm. Telecommunication grants for areas that need call centers and stuff. It's limitless on what we can do, relatives.
Yeah, Bones, I was about to say, it seems like it's limitless. I was going to say, how long are you going to keep, how many different things can you come up with that people are interested in that they have grants for?
I mean, we'd never go off air if we started that.
Ooh, the 24-hour stream, we gonna do that too?
I ain't say that we was. I said we wouldn't go off air if we
you just gave me a TMH answer right there.
I ain't say
all that, There's limitations now. Don't get crazy.
But no, I mean, we've said it. I've said it. Y'all said it. You can't unlearn what you've learned. You can't unknow it. You can't unhear it. So at the end of the day, and this is, I mean, I'm not directing it towards nobody, but I mean, if anybody is out there, making excuses why you can't, okay. It makes no sense. There's too many programs out there. There's too many programs. And even with me going onto the website, like I'm still kind of in awe, like, wait, all these programs are out there? Like, it's not even just about the housing.
Gabrielle, what if I told you there's 4 more grants we haven't even let the info out that we just getting ready to go through next week? Brand new.
I would believe you. I would actually believe you, because I didn't just look at housing programs. I looked at, okay, they got programs to literally fund you and help you set up if you want to be an entrepreneur. They have programs that not only help you to be an entrepreneur and establish a business, they have programs that will help you. They have programs that will help fund you to, like, if you need product, you know what I mean? Say if it's something dealing in crafts or what, like, it wasn't just the housing programs that I looked at. I mean, there were programs, like you said it yesterday, programs for programs for programs for programs. There were so many programs that I looked at, like I took a moment and sat back like, wait a minute. And this was like a self-reflection, like I could have been done all this. I could have utilized all these programs. And then I'm thinking about my children, you know, while we're sitting up here stressing about, okay, we got to come up with this funds for this college and, you know, this college. And I'm like freaking out. I'm like, wait a minute, HUD can cover this. Hold on. Like
that's what it was designed for, correct?
Right. And so like I'm really looking at, there's not just programs for home, there's programs for education, there's programs for business, there's programs. I mean,
just remind me, I can say it on, I'll say it on air. It'll be in the newsletter today as well. For people who sent in questions about home repairs, yes, it's under the HUD home repair grants. Again, that's the HUD federal home repair grants. That's for people that were looking for grants to get repairs done on housing, on their homes, personal homes. And again, that will be in this evening's newsletter. I mean, again, the ball's in our corner. We on the court. What we gonna do?
Yeah, like, okay, and Double Cousin, you know that website, that school that I was telling you about?
Yep.
They actually help you set up your business under USDA regulations. In addition to, I was like, wait a minute, I could utilize HUD to pay for the rest of the hours, the courses I need to take with them. Hold on. So all I need to, you get what
access USDA funding for something else, then use another funding, correct?
Oh, that's right. The quintuple ice cream scoop. Okay.
Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? So like, and honestly, one of many things I'm thinking about now is everything that I do going forward, me doing it, I realize, because once you do something, you now have that knowledge of, okay, this is what you have to do. This is how it works. So the next person that comes along and says, hey, you know, I'd like to do that too. It may not be the same thing. It may, you know, be similar, but it's okay. This is how you do it. So what I obtain going forward, as far as like the time, effort, and action, I take that, the next person that comes up to me and says, hey, I want to do that. Okay, this is how you do it. So it's not just gaining skills to be financially stable, to be to be independent or anything. It's not just taking those skills and obtaining that. It's also taking the skills on, this is how you do it. So now I get to pass it along to the next person. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah, to Pamela Hall, in this evening's newsletter, there will be the information and the link to the HUD Federal Home Repair Grant. And that's for people that was asking questions that wanted to get home repair done. Again, that will be in this evening's newsletter, and that's the HUD Federal Home Repair Grant. I mean, yeah, and again, it works when we start using it. And remember, none of us are alone in here, because if we all take these steps forward, then we all help each other move forward with this. Again, a lot of this stuff been around since 1937. And I'm like, Gabrielle, a lot of things we could have been got out the way. I'm like, we still had an opportunity. We still had a chance. We are here now. We had the information now. Basically had a playbook. Basically every program, every grant program I have seen and came across, they have walkthroughs. And if you don't know, they have paid training. Walk you through on how to set it up to be in guidelines so you can be able to get this funded, so you can apply for these grants. Again, you had the ability to have your own housing authority to take care of your people. Instead of letting someone else come in saying, think about it, what we read. If we don't do it, then the federal government is going to pay somebody else to come in and do it. I mean, so wouldn't it make sense just for us just to do it? We read that every year the funding keeps increasing. You can see how a lot of these entities in America stay afloat because this money is guaranteed. There's guaranteed funding that they're receiving. And even look at the middle end and the small end. By us having businesses that's registered under USDA, HUD Section 3, by us informing as many people as possible who live in these areas.
That is one of my favorite songs.
Somebody tried to call in on the other line.
That's one of my favorite songs.
But it allows us I mean, I'm really stuck for words because I'm like, the potential is there. You know?
Yeah, and I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, okay, so here's what first was happening internally with me. There was a kind of panic button, like, I gotta hurry up and get this done. It's gonna go away, blah, 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 right? That's just personally. And the more I listened, I was like, wait a minute, hold on. These funds keep stacking up every year and sit there? Wait a minute. Yes, I do need to do my part and get things put in place, but it's there. So when I do have things, and that's anyone else, gets things put in place, you know, those funds will still be there. You know, you have time to, okay, this is what I got to do. This is what I got to get together. This is how I'm going to do it. And, you know, it's there.
Yeah, look at the program, the FSS program. Cutoff point is October. So by using the information, that gives you from now to October to get everything together if this is something that you're interested in.
Right.
To the point, they have a walkthrough on the website. So it's not like you're guessing or walking blindly in the dark. There's a roadmap on how to set it up and what you need.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, there's no room for excuses. There's no room to say, well, I can't, or there's nothing. even now, even if someone else didn't share it, even if a different organization didn't share it or shared it but wasn't in depth in explanation, it's understood now. And even if anyone feels like they didn't receive any answers or knowing too, it's still evident that all you have to do is go to the HUD website, go to the website, and you can dive. I mean, click here, click there, click. I mean, it's there. You know, just even with the stuff that's on autonomous assembly, like it's there. It's nothing for, oh, this sounds corny, but it's all just a click away.
Yeah, I mean, for real though. I mean, it's the information is easy to access. Accessing the information isn't the problem. It's once you get it, it's applying it now. The application of said information.
Yeah. Yeah.
Will be different.
The difference between knowledge and application.
Yeah, we make sure that we apply it. That we leave something behind. Again, I'm like, relatives, the opportunity is there. And again, we're going to keep bringing information to keep showing that we can be self-sufficient, that we do not have to be rebellious and say we're breaking away from the government and turning in your social security cards and birth certificates. No, none of that is necessary. When all it takes is local action.
Yeah, and that local action will give you your certificates and your
You know?
It's really yeah, it's really not interesting but amazing how all this works for working for you, for working for others, while working, like it's just a work for everybody program, establishment.
I'll just read the chat. Yes, Pamela Hall, there is HUD grants for home repairs. Yes, there are.
Yes,
there are USDA grants for home repairs. These are separate grant programs. You can also put in for both of them. For the USDA, for that one, that's, if I remember correctly, that's already in the form, and there should be a printout as well of all the USDA approved lenders in the U.S. You said basically they got a program for a program.
Yeah.
I mean, if nobody else got anything else to add on to it, we can get ready to let everybody go so we can get some work today. Start getting this work today on this beautiful Friday out the way.
Remember I told you I had a new saying?
What's that?
This, that, them, they, duh.
What? You say this, they, them, this, that, them, they, duh.
Yep. This, that, them, they, duh. That's my. I had to steal that.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't even.
Oh no! It was.
Like, you know what? No, I don't want to know.
No, come on. Okay, it was a video where this guy was explaining, the difference between native and indigenous, but was getting into other things, right? And that stuck, like everything stuck out, but it was that this, that, them, they, duh, that stuck with me. Like, you know what? That applies to so many different things. So yeah, with this, This, that, them, day, duh.
Okay.
You know what? Okay. It was funny to me, dang it. It was funny to me. I'm not talking anymore. No, but yeah, it's just like, I don't know. I guess for me, it's like, duh. I'm reading through the programs, duh. But all right. It was funny to me.
No problem. I get it. Just messing with We can say that one was done in the spirit of TMH.
There you go. There you go. Shout out to TMH.
Enjoy your vacation, bro. You deserve it.
Yes. Enjoy it. Relax. Breathe.
You know what I said? And you don't have to give out no addresses. You're on vacation. I guess we can go ahead and give closing remarks. Got anything, Gabrielle?
You giving salivations?
Yeah.
All right. Shout out to TMH, Double Cousin No Sellout, and Bones. Thank you for sharing these words of wisdom. So appreciate it. Doodoo Vision, Copper India, Carrie Bay. Peace to the panel, peace to the chat, peace to the silent majority. With that being said, words of wisdom, again, shout out to y'all. The human mind has the potential for infinite development. If you can discover, even in a small way, that true satisfaction comes from your mind, you will realize that you can extend this experience without limit, and that it is possible to discover everlasting satisfaction. Wisdom arises through effort. Wisdom disappears through lack of effort. Knowing this twofold path of growth and decline, one should arrange oneself such that wisdom increases. If you want to know your past life, look into your present condition. If you want to know your future life, look at your present actions. You'll like this one, Bones. Accumulating wealth, guarding it, and making it grow will wear you down. Understanding that riches bring unending ruin and destruction. Understanding that riches bring unending ruin and destruction. And last but not least, this day is a special day. It is yours. Yesterday slipped away. It cannot be filled with more meaning. About tomorrow, nothing is known. But this day, today, is yours. Make use of it. Today you can make someone happy. Today you can help another. This day is a special day. It is yours. And a saying that I heard from an artist, nothing is impossible. Even the word alone means I am possible. Have a beautiful day, everyone.
Alrighty. You got anything else, Sellout?
Top that.
Top that. Chill here, hot micing with three quotes and ish. No, not saying nothing. It's Friday. Everybody enjoy your weekend. TMH, enjoy your vacation. Man. Yeah. Peace to everybody. Email attentionasassembly@gmail.com if you have any questions, comments, concerns, and or corrections. Mainly questions. Bones, what's up with the number? They can call the number later this weekend if they need to contact us.
Yeah. The number's up on the screen.
Okay, yep. So yeah. Y'all know how to hit us up. Stop playing. Man.
You know what? Look. Okay. Anybody saying that they having problems, can't call in, can't get through, getting blocked, me personally, and this is just me talking, I'ma say, nah, that ain't how it works. Because I know that yesterday I had the volume turned up on my computer so high that I was in the next room like there were 2 walls so high that Bones came on. I heard a voice, thought somebody called in, ran from the next room, passing 2 walls. So that should have been a noise cancellator. Came in like, oh, okay, it was Bones. Never mind. Like, no. Ain't nobody got excuses.
This phone works.
I was special for a moment.
No, you are special. You are special. You are kind. You are beautiful. Okay, it was funny. No, you're special.
Ain't nobody doing nothing.
I'm just saying people talk about they can't call in and they having trouble. Maybe what's those phones, not the rotary phones, the
Jitterbug.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, where you have to tap tap the line a couple of times to get in touch to get the operator to connect you.
Who are you calling? 7.
Collect call.
You call it line 7. It's only 10 lines in the country.
Remember when you used to be able to call the operator and have the operator connect you to a number?
Yeah, plug you in.
Yeah. Like maybe that's
forward,
the issue. And maybe they're having a problem with the operator, putting in the numbers, and maybe they're pressing star. So
what you're saying is somebody's calling us from the past? I don't think so. I don't know. Now that's a good excuse. Now the number might not work for you if you're calling us from the past.
You know what? I know what it is. And I mean, I know this is like a gun and a bullet for y'all. But when I got my first touchscreen phone, it was very frustrating because I didn't know that I was used to. So the red hang up button, the red phone button at the bottom of the screen, every time I would dial numbers, I didn't know that I was pressing the hang up button. So I thought people were hanging up on me. So maybe that's what's going on with them. They keep hanging up and they just don't know how to.
Not savvy.
Yeah, I think maybe maybe it's a touchscreen phone.
You know what? Hey, last time I heard somebody say that people were too old to use technology, they got cussed out on the air. So don't say that people are, no, you don't want to say that because somebody might call in and be like, I'm proving to you right, and look, 804. shout out to the 804 Grand Rising. Is that Pamela Hall or is that Cameron Hall? Shout out to y'all. Peace to Richmond. Maybe not. They star 6 they'll mute yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, star 6. Don't do yourself.
The phone. Look, this ain't even the original number yet. This ain't even the original number.
Oh no. Well, I mean, I'm not saying people are too old. What I'm saying is, and I'm not too old. I'm 29 for the next 4 years. So this happened when I was 28 4 years ago for the next 4 years. So all I'm saying is.
So you might be one of the people from the past that call in. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, I kept ending the call and I was getting very frustrated and angry because for a whole day, everyone I called kept hanging up on me. And like when I talked to my daughter, she said, Mom, look at your phone. I said, look, she said, show me what you're doing. I said, look, this is why I said I didn't want to get a touchscreen phone. I said, I keep dialing a number. I said, I press send. And I said, then it'll dial. And she said, yeah, because you're hanging up on them. They're not hanging up on you. So they could have been doing what I was doing 4 years ago. 4 years ago.
We're calling from the past. I don't know what to tell you. They got HUD probably got training courses for technology.
But they do. I probably need to take a telecommunications course.
Well, you know how to get through on the line. I don't know. They don't. Somehow.
On that, good people, before we be here all day.
What I ever do to you?
did the TMH.
Oh.
But yeah, with the information, everybody, it shows that we can make a difference and we can change the direction that we're on. That we can build and leave something for our future generations.
Absolutely.
That where we came from does not dictate where we finna go. We have a choice. That taking the time out to do genealogy, to learn who you are, to learn where you come from, is to help you to be able to move forward and knowing what responsibilities that you take on. What was the responsibility of your people? So we can fix our situations. And no, it's never gonna be a time to where everybody getting along and the world is a perfect place. And that's not what we're doing this for. We are doing this to make sure our children have a chance, and their children have a chance, and their children have a chance. We're doing this to make sure that our ancestors' work was not in vain. That those who gave their lives, their purpose still moves on. That even though some of us came across this information late, we know now what to do with it, and we will move forward. This is a great time to be amongst the American Indians, because this is the time for us to gather, to get together in the autonomous minds to do the work, to rebuild, to rewrite our stories so it'll never be forgotten. So on that, relatives, continue the work that you do daily in your communities, in your families. Continue to keep working on your genealogy. Continue to go in your community to find out the needs of your community. Continue to conversate with like-minded individuals. So these conversations become boots on the ground, and boots on the ground become actual structures being built. So we linked up again to the next Rising Show. Remember, we love you, and peace.
Peace, everybody.
Peace, y'all.
warning, warning, hard hats, pickaxe, shovels, boots, required.